Hey guys, Olizandri here, bringing you a team tactical domination on WMD today. I'm playing around with the M60 LMG, which the enemies kindly drop for me one after another until everyone decides to get their try-hard pants on and win the game. This game is a free on board for pretty much all of the game, so we're outnumbered in objective game type. I mean, this would be good if it were TDM, you know, less targets to be killed versus more targets to kill is always an advantage. But for Dom games, it just allows us to get slightly overwhelmed when their team pushes en masse strat. To be honest, this isn't one of my best games. I was trying to execute my default WMD strat, you know, get in the middle, control the flags and the spawns, completely shut down the middle of the map. But I wasn't really afforded the time to do it until I got serious later on. So I'm just acting as primary slayer, trying to get my kill streaks up. Other guys are playing the objective, so that's basically we got our roles set out. As I said though, there's a lot of negatives to be taken from this gameplay, you know, it's a lot of things I do wrong. But you know, sometimes it's fun to showcase the bad with the good. It's a hard fought game, so watch and see how it turns out really. Anyway, moving on to the topic of conversation today, and it's something that I've already covered. You may remember a month back I made a video entitled Does the Gun Matter? It was pretty much a rant about things I've seen more on other people's videos than my own, regarding the reception towards commentators using easy mode weaponry to bring a gameplay to their audience. So within this category we're talking the AK-74U, the FAMAS and the AUG. However, the focus of the commentary wasn't to be about the guns at all. While I mentioned the 74U as garnering endless complaints, the video was actually supposed to be entirely about everything that makes up a kill beside the gun. The gun only comes into effect when the trigger is pulled. The gun doesn't make the kill. The question I was asking was, why does the gun devalue someone's gameplay when the gun isn't active until fired? Why is a player's movement, strategy, gun skill and technical skill completely ignored when someone wields one of these weapons? So I thought I could give a better shot at explaining my viewpoint if I collected my thoughts on paper, as in this is a scripted commentary, rather than rant like I did in the first video. So from now on this is all my opinion. You can call it biased, you can call it what you will, but this is how I see things as a viewer and a creator of gameplay videos. So now, first things first, the focus of the last video wasn't the gun itself, but most of the comments I received in return were. Constantly I got comments about the 74U's overpowerness. I even just today got a comment saying, I bet you use the UMP in Modern Warfare 2. Damn right. The best weapons are fun to play with. It's fun to go all out to smash someone, just as it's fun to use a Uzi to kill AK-74 users, which I was doing in my gun rant vid. My views on the 74U, same as everyone else's. Stick rapid fire on it, it kills at an ungodly rate. Combined with its overall ease of use stemming from predictable upwards recoil, which is shared with many weapons that aren't considered overpowered, it puts it in a class of its own. I've never equipped that combination personally, but I've used it for my enemy's corpses many times and it is very good. But it's just not for me. I used it for my first two prestiges entirely because it was an AK, then moved away from it in favour of the MP5K. Personal preference, as I definitely know which gun is better. Moving on to the AUG, here's a gun I used because it was what it was, an AUG. That was classed as an AR rather than the LMG of Modern Warfare 2. It has yet again the ease of use recoil profile of other guns, straight up, though sharing its other stats with its brother gun, the FAMAS. It's possibly an easier to use gun than the FAMAS looked statistically, but doesn't catch half the hate. Then we have the FAMAS itself, the god weapon. Better than the AK-74U, or at least in my eyes. Recently I picked it up to see what the fuss is about, and I now find it hard to put down. The gun cuts through people even when silenced like a knife through butter, which makes it so attractive to a suppressor whore like me. Its recoil however is up and to the right, which should theoretically make it slightly hard to use in the previous two, having to make sure you pull it back on target, though predictable. It isn't really a bother when you get used to it though. I mean, you know, no guns are a bother when you get used to them. The three things that the guns have in common is of course their fire rate. The AUG and the FAMAS outstrip their AR brethren, while the 74U meets it with rapid fire. While they share that with so many other submachine guns, it's the recoil profiles and damage stats of these three that outclass the other guns able to fire at that rate. The 74U's 40 top damage being singled out as one of its most vilifying traits. Though if I'm to believe statistics are the only thing that matters, the AK-74U only classes as my 5th best SMG, while in the AR category, my FAMAS and AUG place 5th and 8th respectively. Of course I'm counting all those guns barely used, so that's how statistics skew things, but none are my best used weapon for their classes. I'm never going to say that these guns aren't good. that they don't make any difference whatsoever, that they aren't overused. But I thought it would be good to cover the fact I know how good these guns are. I know what classes them as OP, so I can follow it up by saying, I don't really care. Most of the players that use them want to have fun. To have fun, they want to do well. To do well, they think that using the best equipment will augment their abilities. Those that compete have that same mindset. Use the best equipment for the job. Win the game. How can you mock someone with a winning mindset? I can't. I never would. Why would you? However, here we come to the clutch point. That which made me make the video. When I watch other people's gameplays, I am dismayed to find comments pertaining to the gun choice of a person over the gameplay he exhibited. Now, I've put my views on the guns out there in this vid, but I don't want a discussion based on that if at all possible. As I said, my viewpoint is simply in the I don't care bracket. I want to bring it back to the does the gun matter point. To do this, I'm going to bring up some high profile examples of other commentators, those that don't get the hate due to complete acceptance by the community, nor do they care if they did. I'm talking C-Nanners and Sandy Ravage. Now, Sandy Ravage has named most of his videos the OP weapons for that game. In Modern Warfare 2, most of what you see is the UMP, the Spaz 12 and the Holo M16. COD 4, it's a lot of M16 and MP5K. I don't know what he does with the Black Ops, as he doesn't like the game, but I bet his top 5 is the same as everyone else's, with those free weapons nestled in there. Now the thing is, Sandy provides us such good gameplay with these weapons. People either forget about the gun he's using, or look for those guns as a feature. When you saw Sandy using a Spaz 12 or UMP, you could be sure it's going to be rushing at his best. Negative comments don't come his way for using them, however. Bit hypocritical. C-Nanners I'm using as just today. He posted a flawless free-for-all using the AK-74U rapid fire, that super vilified beast. Again, looking through the comments, no one cares. In fact, the only comment I saw regarding the gun was, only C-Nanners could use a 74U rapid fire and not get trolled. Nanners is on the other side of the spectrum from Sandy. People favour his commentary so may not focus on his gameplay, but his gameplay is still an example of what I'm saying. The gun barely mattered, the way he played was the basis of his success. Why does there seem to be one rule for them and one for another? Everyone's trying to supply good gameplay, good commentary, or a menagerie of both. They will use any tool possible to provide you with that, be it a gimmick weapon or an overpowered beast. I can't accept hatred based off of gun use when all they are doing is attempting to entertain you. It's your choice to watch it or not. Let's go to another angle of why the gun doesn't matter to me or shouldn't matter to you. Let's break down your average gameplay. Straight off, I'd say about 15% of the gameplay itself is actually spent firing the weapon, so the gun doesn't matter bar its movement speed in the other 85%. Straight off, you see something from these estimated stats. Why does the gun devalue the gameplay when for the mainstay of it, it's never used? Fights are short and sharp things. Most of the gameplay is hunting an enemy or capturing, defending an objective. The movement of the player itself, that's entirely the guy behind the gun thinking, not the gun controlling him. Everything during this time is him or her, nothing else. Now, breaking into that 15% where you're fighting, in my eyes the only time the gun matters is a face-to-face encounter. Everything else can be counted out. Let me explain my thinking. Here's a list of everything I think plays as a factor in a kill. Movement, positioning, intel, awareness, connection, gun skill, technical skill, and the gun itself. 8 factors that I'm stating, which there is probably more of, but let's focus on those starting with the first 4. Most kills are gained through positioning, movement, and intelligence gathered. A great kill to me, for example, and it's one of my favourite quotes, is a shot to the back. There is no reply. The only way the gun mattered is just that you had a gun, but you could have chosen a knife all the same. Basically situations where the guy could never reply to you shooting him in the first place. Other things in this aspect are cover play. Engaging a gunfight in a position of cover gives you an obvious advantage. Making a smaller hit zone to make it harder on the opponent is more important than the gun being used. Another is the choice to be the aggressor or not at close range, but that plays into the connection facet. Awareness is simply your reaction time. That red dot appears behind you and you get hit. How fast can you turn and attempt to shoot back? Or how fast can you think and react to getting cover? Again, something that comes into effect before you have the chance to use the gun. These 4 factors account for the mainstay of your kills, or at least do with good players. A face-to-face gunfight should always be a last resort, but they happen. These factors nibbled away a large chunk of that 15% of time spent firing the weapon. In all those fights, the gun is irrelevant, keep that in mind. We move now to what I'd call the face-to-face combat factors. what you have that makes an equal fight turn to your favour or plays entirely against you. First off, we're talking the big one, connection. Those with hosts, especially in Black Ops, have a large advantage. Those with 4 bars have a larger advantage than ever over those with 3 bars compared to Modern Warfare 2. The net coding is wrong. The connection is the be all and end all of most gunfights. Sometimes you shoot a guy 10 times plus, drop dead and have never shot him on the kill cam. Surely connection is more overpowered than a 74U rapid fire. The gun doesn't matter at all in these circumstances. I call myself a 3-bar warrior, so I live off the first 3 factors to deny connection its advantage as well as the gun being used. The gun can, however, sometimes make up with its firing rate. If the enemy has only, say, a second time wise over you, a gun spewing bullets at a faster rate can allow you to catch up depending on the gun he's using or his gun skill. So one of the FAM-ORG 74U guns can be of assistance here. Gun skill, otherwise known as twitch, target acquisition itself, is the same for almost any gun. Auto aim may assist on some guns more than others, but usually within the same class, the 74U being a known standout in that fact. Yet again, your twitch isn't aided by your gun enough to notice, and it does it with all weapons, so the gun barely matters. However, in terms of the accuracy factor of gun skill, that's decided by a combination of how used to the gun you are and the gun's recoil statistics. So we see the gun creeping more into the frame of mattering in a fight. Technical skills include stuff like jumping around corners or drop shotting, things you may see GB players do in videos all to mess up a player's aim, surprise them or lower your profile so there's less to shoot. These things are entirely down to the player. The gun doesn't make anyone do these things, it doesn't matter. Finally, at the gun itself, as I said, it really only matters in a face-to-face encounter, which most players will try to avoid. Then even only when it's a fair fight. By that I mean all the factors above are the same, so we're talking same connection, same skill, no cover, both aware of each other at the same time. Here's finally where it's just gun versus gun, but it barely ever happens. More often than not, one of the previous factors wins the fight. More often than not, one of the things that a gun doesn't matter in is the factor in question. So given my explanation, does the gun really matter? When I watch a gameplay by one of the 2 mentioned commentators, I can usually explain away 95% of kills as one of the other factors being better than their opponents. Very rarely do I think, the gun won that. It happens, but usually when the winner was at a disadvantage in the first place, and I'm talking like numerics, many players versus 1. This is why I don't feel commentators deserve hate for using said weapons, why their gameplay shouldn't be devalued for using them. Focus on the stuff that actually wins the gunfights, because it's barely ever the gun by itself. So yeah, I've stated my case in a non-rant format, so it's your job now to unravel my argument. Don't focus on the guns themselves, however I do note that what I said may make you think, so if the gun doesn't matter that much, why does everyone use the same ones? To that I reply, if you're making 4 pieces of toast, would you use a 4-slot toaster or a 2-slot toaster? Ease of use, my friends, ease of use. That and what's familiar. Commentators only want to provide you with stuff to entertain you. The tools used shouldn't matter. If you don't like the guns, fine, but take the gameplay as just that, a gameplay. Anyway, this has been Olizandri and this has been a long commentary. Please rate the vid, give a thumbs up if you like and a thumbs down if you hate me and my views, boo hoo. Comment about the topic and pass on your own views, and sub if you like what you see or hear. Cheers for watching, and next time I'll bring you a more normal vid. See you around.